Chad, how we doing? Welcome into KCSN Live. I told you guys we had a special edition of KCSN Live cooking up for you guys. Tucker Franklin hanging out with the boss man, BJ Kissel, and we got a special guest with us here. He is a former Kansas City Chief. He is a former Tulane Green Wave. Big win for the Wave. Against big win for the Wave. A former Green Bay Packer, Kansas City Chiefs, second team All-Conference USA in 2011. Shout out.
I don't know how it was second team, but yeah.
Yeah, should have been first team. That's what I think.
It's still a problem.
Desmond Moses.
It's still a problem.
Desmond Moses joining us on today's stream. Hit us up in the chat. Make sure to like the video, subscribe as well. But Desmond, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us here from the Sand Trap in beautiful KC-Mo.
Oh, yeah. I had a smash burger already, man.
That's what you were saying.
I like smash burgers.
It smelled pretty good.
Look, I made it disappear. It didn't take me long.
Oh, yes. We got a lot of guys in the chat, too, as well.
We got our friends from Holiday coming
yeah.
out here. And they're going to be out here this afternoon from 2:30 to 6:30 if you're in the KC-Mo area, right off like Blue Ridge Boulevard and Holmes, not too far from the Quick Trip over there. But folks from Holiday, Violet is out here, and she's going to be hanging out, giving out samples from 2:30 to 6:30 today. So if you're in the area, you want some amazing bourbon, come see our friends at Holiday. Come see Violet. Come say hi.
Come on down to the Sand Trap.
Come see Mike. Come see Mike.
Come see Mike.
Our
Yeah,
guy
Mike's back there somewhere. You'll get to be hanging out with Mike. But look, we got a loaded stream for you guys today. Plenty of stuff going on around the NFL and for the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid just had a press conference a little bit ago. We'll talk about Xavier Worthy, some of that stuff that's going on. But the big news that happened, this happened after yesterday's stream, so, I mean, it was the first time we get to talk about it. Jaylen Carter will be back for the Philadelphia Eagles. In a press release that was sent out from the NFL yesterday, because Carter was disqualified before participating in a single play, the suspension is considered to have been served in Week 1, and he will have to forfeit his game check. The NFL Players Association has informed the NFL that Carter will not contest the discipline and has waived his right to appeal. NFL insider Tom Pelissero does report on Tuesday that Carter will forfeit his $57,000 game check. Boy, howdy. That would not be fun to forfeit that much money.
And I also saw that the Eagles agreed to not come after guaranteed money for breaking any sort of NFLPA rule. All the little behind-the-scenes thing to make sure that there's going to be no other fallout from this. But Desmond, what are your thoughts on this?
I think the NFL did the right thing. Obviously just suspending, the young man Carter for the game that he had already been punished for. But I think, looking back, and apparently there's some additional footage that shows Dak Prescott spitting over his offensive lineman onto Jaylen Carter, and for any man, and I've been a football player, college, high school, Pop Warner, anytime another opposing player spits on me, you can only expect one thing, that, he wants these hands, man, that.
Yeah.
But, kudos to Jaylen Carter for not going that far. I think there would have been greater repercussions had he, swung or done something like that where he totally lost control. But I think the NFL has to step in and take Dak Prescott, because Jaylen Carter is that type of player. He's that influential. He can affect the game. He's a wrecker. And I think that Dak Prescott should probably have to sit out at least one game for what he did as well.
It's an interesting precedent, and it's intent. And all that. The whole thing is just weird, and it's weird that we have to talk about this. It's weird that he spit at him.
Yeah.
And as a Chiefs fan, I want him to be suspended because I don't want Jaylen Carter playing in this game.
Yeah.
The whole it's not a suspension because it was ejected before the game. Like, in common sense, I understand it, but at the same time, there was so much right after it happened that came out about the NFL coming down harder now this year on personal conduct, those types of things. And I think some of the behind the scenes was, if something goes wrong in the NFL, falls from grace of where it's at right now, it's because of the sportsmanship and those types of things. At least was the messaging that was put out that they were worried about as to set the stage for don't be surprised when there's an additional suspension.
Yeah.
And so to put that out there and then come back and be like, just kidding, we're just going to take the suspension. We want Jaylen Carter playing against the Chiefs in Arrowhead on the first home game.
That's huge.
Let's not pretend that that's not part of this, too.
You take it a step further, you even think about what happened about 4 days later, kid in college, Florida, and I think it was the South Florida game.
Yes, day later.
Lineman spits right in a guy's face, gets ejected, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, 15-yard penalty, costs his team the game.
Yep.
This is the type of imprint that these guys have on not only on, young children, but young men. So I think they need to be mindful when they're behaving.
Go ahead. So my last thought on this, because I just thought of this when it came out. I wonder if their whole worry is not looking bad and not having this out there. If he's suspended for the Chiefs game, knowing how many people are going to watch that game, if he's not playing, that's all they're going to talk about.
For sure.
And then talking about the incident, whereas if he is going to play, they may mention it, and then they get to the game, they don't have to keep bringing it up.
I think it's an interesting precedent that the NFL sets here. And now it is a very bizarre situation. Like, there's not a whole lot of times people are getting ejected before they play a snap, right? But allowing a guy who didn't play a snap for that to be his one-game suspension sets an interesting precedent. So in the offseason, if you get suspended, does that mean that since you didn't play a snap in the offseason, does that mean you can forfeit your 6 game checks and just go ahead and play week 1 in the season? So I don't think, like, I think sometimes Chiefs fans are kind of taking this of like, well, Rashee Rice, he missed all those games last year, so he should be able.
What about
it's not the
running rampant?
It is. I don't think that that's the precedent that the NFL set. I don't think that's what will happen either.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of a bizarre situation and everything. Forfeiting that 1 game check, the way that they were able to move things around behind the scenes to make sure that like Jaylen Carter was like still good and still abiding by the rules. Yeah, that does come with a 1 game suspension. It's such a bizarre circumstance though too that like if somebody else spits on somebody before a game, I guess we can have this happen again. But I hope that doesn't happen.
But I think the penalty, the Eagles still felt the penalty, being that the game was played and he wasn't able to participate
100%.
in it.
Yes.
So, yeah, maybe they could have suspended him additionally, but I think that would have been. I think the NFL actually used common sense here and used logic.
I think it's funny that we're talking about 2 grown-ass men that spit on each other. We're talking about Dak Prescott, one of the captain, one of the I don't say face of the NFL, but like everyone, he's out there, and then defending Super Bowl champ Jaylen Carter, like that part.
But the post-game interview, the presser was even more comical. Listening to Dak try to, thread the line and explain where he was spitting, why. In the heat of the moment, any man knows. Come on, BJ said it. Why don't you just turn you spit through 2 of your offensive linemen onto another opposing player? I don't see it.
Yeah, I have a nervous habit. Now I play baseball. I spit all the time. When I watch. If I'm at my son's baseball game, it's nervous. I'm spitting all the time. So how hard is it just to spit down by your feet? Like he went over his shoulders to kind of spit towards. I don't know if it was on Jaylen Carter, but to your point. I don't know if they're going to suspend Dak, but it was weird that he spit over his offensive lineman.
That's one of those. Come on, man.
yeah. You don't think we actually believe this, do you?
Right. No, I mean, it was one of those things too of like it looked like that it was. I don't think Dak was trying to do it with malicious intent, right? I think he was trying to maybe just razz him a little bit, right? And then Jaylen Carter reacted like.
Like a fucking defensive lineman.
Yeah, like a defensive lineman.
Sorry to swear. It's like,
it's okay.
Like when you spit on a grown man, how he would have reacted.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't want to get off this topic yet. I'm sorry.
No,
too much fun.
No, you're good.
It's funny because, Desmond, you were there during the time. During the time I was with the Chiefs, it was so interesting to go from Jay Howard, Dontari Poe, and Alan Bailey, 3 beasts that did not talk. And then all of a sudden we went to Chris Jones, Nacho, and Colin Saunders, who were the complete opposite personalities in the defensive line room. Of the guys that you played with on the Chiefs and that defensive lineman, who would have reacted differently to being spat on the way that Jaylen Carter did?
Who would have reacted different? I think Chris Jones would have found some silver lining to try and antagonize. I don't think he would have spit right back. I just don't. I don't see that being his character. He's a little more lighthearted. Now, if you'd have spit on Jay Howard,
I'm trying to figure out what Alan Bailey would do because I have a feeling you just look at me like, "What'd you do that for?" He was such a nice guy.
Alan, he looks like a complete monster, but Alan Bailey is genuinely one of the nicest fellas. He's a fisherman. He'll go out. He'll relax. He would have checked you. He would have checked the situation, but he would have definitely, not spat back.
Yeah.
But Jay Howard, he got spit on. Yeah. He would have caused a commotion. We'll say that.
A funny Alan Bailey story. We were at Sapelo Island. It was myself and 2 of the producers for 65 TPT. We're doing a story on where Alan Bailey grew up at Sapelo Island. And we were walking there. We stayed there for 2 days. We stayed on the island. We were walking around.
I've read that story. I've seen that.
Yeah, so it was awesome to go spend time with him there. But he had these fishing nets in these little creeks, and we were fishing for pulling out clams, doing all the different things. And at one point, he was throwing the fishing net out, and he'd pull in a couple fish, and there would be baby fish that would get caught on the beach part. Huh. And so they're struggling, they're gonna die. So he kept doing it, and he just keep walking. While I was walking behind him, I kept grabbing the fish and putting them in the water. And he turned around and goes, "You ain't gotta save them all, BJ." I just remember following this guy, just trying to save all the fish. And it was he's such a nice dude. It was such a good time to spend time with him. But yeah, I was sitting there, and I was like, I don't think he would have gotten super mad.
No. And everybody's a little bit different. Like I said, Jay Howard would have definitely got physical. Alan Bailey would have found a piece. Chris would probably have been in between, silver lining. he might have found a way later to get him back.
Well, Chris did say something to Joe Flacco that one time. Remember to get that personal foul that we'll never know what was said. To lead that Colts to that win that one time.
I heard Chris a few times. He and Ronnie Stanley had a lot of conversations together when we played the Ravens. He was on the right tackle. But
appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Shout out to Sea-Dog, Jackie Moon, Brian Parrott. We got Claude in the chat as well. Appreciate everyone. It's all the usual suspects out there, so appreciate hanging out. So let's turn this to the Chiefs game this weekend because Jaylen Carter, obviously the Eagles' next game is against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going up against Kingsley Suamataia, likely to be Kingsley Suamataia on that side. Desmond, how do you kind of see that matchup going? Maybe not the best of way to start the season off for the Chiefs and the Chiefs' offensive line. Now they get a pretty darn good defensive line in the Eagles. Yeah.
Look at my eyes.
Yeah.
This is going to be a challenge. I think this, if you want to check a guy's temperature and see, if he's built for this long haul and the journey that Kansas City takes, which is a championship-type journey, this will be the ultimate test for him. It's early. He's getting a couple of real guys right out of the gate, but you're talking about A1, this is him. Mr. Jaylen Carter is going to – not only in the pass game, but in the run game, he's going to make sure your leverage points are correct. Make sure you're playing with good pad level. He's going to make sure you're getting out your stance. He's going to make sure your hands are in the right place. Because if they're not, he's going to embarrass you. He's going to, they're going to be highlighting the type of plays he's making in the backfield.
Yeah.
And I think for Kansas City, coming off some of the PFF grades I seen last week, I think there's an opportunity for them to get a lot better this week. So they should be working profusely. They're probably not excited about the news of Jaylen Carter coming out, but they better be working profusely and getting in order for this week because it'll be the best test.
I do. I like that he's playing. I like that he's going to have the toughest matchup. And the reason why is that I used to say this about the Chiefs a long time ago when Mahomes was first there, is that there's no boogeyman out there that the Chiefs have to be worried about.
Yeah.
And for Kingsley individually to go up against that dude, it's not going to get any more difficult than this.
Yeah,
for sure.
You might not like it week 2, but week 8, when he's getting ready for week 9, he can look back on that and be like, it's never going to be like that until the Super Bowl again to face a dude like that. There's dudes all around the league, but I like not having that. And I think it's a maturation of a Chiefs fan where you used to wish, I hope that guy's hurt. I hope that guy can't play. And now it's like, get him out there. Kingsley needs it. He needs the development. He needs to go up against a guy who's going to beat him and figure out what he's got to get better at. I know you're not happy because you spent a lot of time watching him after the last game.
Yeah.
How terrified are you of the matchup?
So I spent a lot of time on Kingsley's pass pro reps. This is where I spent a lot of time. Kingsley's a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. I think that we knew that coming into last year, right? What I'm worried about is we haven't really seen a diversity in this Chiefs run game with the running backs that they have. I don't think that they have a lot of opportunities to run the ball a whole lot. That would help, right? That would help slow down the defensive line if you can get those offensive linemen with their head down, get them going. So I worry about how he's going to react against Jaylen Carter, who is much younger than Khalil Mack, who is still very good football player. But Khalil Mack had some very quick wins from the inside, and that's not how you want those wins coming from the inside. Is you don't want those quick. I mean, that fourth down and 7 where Mahomes rolls out and hits Hollywood. I mean, Khalil Mack wins instantly. So in the pass game, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to help him. I mean, they're going to have to really bring help to that side.
If you think that Khalil Mack won quick, watch Jaylen Carter, who's not playing out of position when he moves inside. He's a steady rusher from inside. So I think that's a great point. But you also got to bring up the fact that, when you don't have a steady dose of the run and defenders aren't really calculating whether I need to play run pass and this is pass-heavy offense that we're going against, it puts your linemen in predicaments where they have to be better technique-wise.
Right. I talked about this in the offseason, and I'm not going to pretend to know how to scheme an offense to do this. What I have seen is Andy Reid do this throughout the years. When you're going up, he's not so prideful that when you played for him. When you're going up against a defensive line that's better than your offensive line, there are answers and things that you can do to try and offset that. And what we have now with Josh Simmons at left tackle, those plays where it used to be Rodney Hudson way back in the day, and before that Mitch Morse became the guy where it was always the center, but you can do the same thing with the tackle where you roll him out, get him outside the pocket. Now he's got a tackle that can move laterally enough well in space that you can get him out of the sitting target, put him in the same drop back, same area. Mahomes loves to roll to his left. So maybe this is the time that we see some of those dedicated rollout where a tackle or an offensive lineman comes with him to not have him be that sitting target. And this is the perfect kind of situation where we would see those types of plays. And it may happen 3 or 4 times a game. It's not like they're going to run this all the time, but it's going to be 3 or 4 times where they're trying to take a shot. They need to develop some time down the field to make a big play.
Great point. I mean, even like you say, you're getting creative. The run game, we've seen it with athletic offensive linemen, i.e. the Ravens, throwing those quick screens. That's essentially a extension of a run play. If you can get those guys out of the way, you can get linemen that have the ability to go out there and knock some DBs off, let those guys get some confidence going, get their blood flowing. Now they got confidence. They come back to the pass rush, to the pass blocking, and they just feel good about themselves.
I feel like it's one of the more athletic offensive lines that we've had with Mahomes that – even with Orlando Brown, for the issues that he had and the things that he was better at, moving in space was not one of them.
Right. Yeah.
And so some of those developing those chunk plays with Mahomes, the way that they go off script, maybe we have a better opportunity for those now because of the athleticism up front. Yeah. Regardless of what they're going up against, they can design some things and actually have it work. They're not going to call some of that stuff with Orlando in the years past.
For sure. And I want to highlight this comment from Jedi here. This is either going to make or break Kingsley. I think so. Shout out Jedi watching us in the chat here as well.
It's week 2.
Look, week 2 last year, he went up against Trey Hendrickson.
At some point,
Trey Hendrickson sunned him.
They will know better than anyone else that if the best case scenario for the best 5 guys playing is the mix Jaylen. Is that what you're thinking? Put Jaylen Moore?
Well, Jaylen Moore might have to play right tackle because they got a guy who can't stop getting penalties on the right side. I don't know what they're
Pick your poison. Which would you rather? What would you do?
I would rather have the interior shirt up. It's going to depend on what Patrick would rather, right? But it seems like Patrick is a lot more comfortable with the tackles being shirt up. He had a pretty solid interior offensive line with Joe Tooney, with Creed Humphrey, with Trey Smith last year, and the tackles are really what his bugaboos were.
Yeah, I think, in that scenario, I think Pat would rather have the right tackle be the weak link only because he's right out in front of him.
For sure.
And Pat would be able to protect himself, using his feet, but just utilizing his awareness and whatnot. But all that being said, we're talking about a guy, and we're talking about finding strategies to support a guy who's getting paid like a big dog. So when that happens, not only for his teammate but for Chiefs Kingdom, there's a expectation that comes with it, and I just don't think this guy's working hard enough to reach that expectation. There's a level of things that you can do, and part of the reason that all of these pre-snap penalties are going on is because what we call is just being lazy. He didn't want to get out of stance on time and kick to get where he needs to be.
Yeah.
If you sit your hips down and, we don't know that he's injured to any extent. We had a whole off season. He had the ability to go work. Right. Guys get better in the off season. Why not him? Why hasn't he taken that initiative to do so? And that's kind of the question you have to ask as opposed to how can we cover him up? I think that's what they should be challenging him to do. But for right now, Kansas City has to solve that little bit of an issue. And right now, pre-snap and holdings, he just didn't look like he was in good position. If I was a pass rusher, I'd be chomping at the bits to get to him.
Yeah. So hopefully being at home is going to help. Not that Brazil is going to be an issue, but
for sure.
When Kelsey's getting after him and everybody's talked about it, the coach has been asked, it's too much of it. It was a thing a year and a half ago. And now it's even more of a thing when they're struggling. It's going to be highlighted even more.
That's the thing, too. That's the first time I think that we've seen anyone on the team get after Jawan Taylor. They've kept it publicly. They've kept it pretty all right, we're going to keep this in house. We're working on it. We're doing this. We're doing that about Jawan Taylor. But that was the first time Travis Kelce into Jawan Taylor was the first time that you really saw. I think maybe that fuse is getting shorter. I don't know, but we'll have to see what it is with what they do with the offensive line. I got a question for you guys. I want a question for the poll as well before we get going. The poll I have up right now on YouTube: should Jaylen Carter be able to play this week? 66% of you guys say no, Jaylen Carter. I don't know if you guys are shocked by that. That's
low. That's lower than what I would have thought.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask another poll. I just entered that poll on the YouTube chat. Thank you for everyone hanging out with us. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. What I want to ask you guys, as I'm gonna type this poll up when I get done. Do you think that these 5 offensive linemen will be the same 5 offensive linemen when it's week 17 at the end of the season?
No, that's easy. I could say that for any team, though.
Mine purely based on injury.
Yeah, fair. Injury notwithstanding, if they wanted to, I guess I should say. Not injury notwithstanding, do you think that these are the 5 guys they want to finish the year with?
I don't know. I think, it's literally week to week in the NFL. It's that finicky, it's performance based. But at the end of the day, the only one thing that we do know is injuries occur, and that the likelihood of these 5 guys being together are low. But it could be, some combination of these guys. But hopefully, I think, again, it's about the level in which they come out and play. And I think that as time goes on, there's going to be a new standard, because this Simmons kid, man, there's something I see in his game.
Yeah.
Right now, he's the young buck, so he's got to just take it, he's got to take his position. But let him get a few games under his belt. Let him have some success and some steadiness. I think he could be a special cornerstone in this offense, in a position that Kansas City doesn't have to think about for a few years, but also a guy who's going to bring up the play of guys around him.
Yeah,
right.
I hope it's the same offensive line, because I think the highest ceiling is Kingsley developing.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's in there. I don't think you have a higher floor from a backup veteran who got paid. I think he's
who's never played guard.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So for those reasons, and I talked about this on 10 Things. I talked about it the week before before the season started. We have to give time for guys to develop.
Yeah, sure.
You can't praise coaches for being good at their jobs and then immediately when guys aren't successful right off the gate, be like, well, they don't know what they're doing. No.
Right.
Can't have it both ways. You're going to praise them for their ability to develop. We have seen Andy Heck develop offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Give them time to develop these guys. And, again, you're going to question Andy Reid on who should be playing on offensive line. Or, again, that he doesn't understand how to call plays. Again, the one thing negatively that I'll say that we've talked about on this show that I don't see getting better, and it's going to be something that hamstrings the Chiefs, not to change the subject.
No, you're fine.
The explosive running game. They're not getting explosive. They're putting so much pressure on the offense to have to methodically go down the field that when they should have an 8 to 12-yard gain, they're getting 6.
Mm-hmm.
And when they need that 20-yard run, they're getting 12. And that eventually those yards, it's hard to quantify it, but it's going to come back up to them just because you have 2 running backs that are kind of the same, fan favorites. They don't have a lot of juice. They don't have a lot of juice to pick up a chunk play.
I think they're very different backs, though, and that's kind of my issue with the running game right now is that I feel like they almost want to give the equality as far as the carries, but Hunt is a volume back.
Yeah,
Hunt is a guy that wears down defenses. He needs 15 carries in order to be effective because his chunk runs don't come in your first 10 runs. He's not a King Henry who's going to hit a home run, but he's a guy who's going to hit body punches until you open up, and then he's going to hit a bubble. He's going to wear you down. He's going to do, he's going to eat out his bowl and celebrate on you.
Yeah.
And that demoralizes the defense piece by piece. But because he's so tough, it's just I don't know if a substitute. It's not like a flash and bolt type of deal where one's a power back and one's a speed guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Pacheco, who's very similar, but. Still, I don't want to tip off who I think should get all the carries, but it's very difficult to do. I think the Chiefs' offense still have to dedicate themselves to the run, just because, as a defender, I know, and I knew back then. Even if I know this team's pass, I'm so much more comfortable. I can't wait to get out my stance. It's like we'll play run on the way. But if I know it's pass and I can just get out, this guy has a problem because my get off is half the battle. Right. So that's where Kansas City at. They really got to dedicate themselves to it.
Carries go to Rashard Smith. That's where the carries go.
Scott in the chat, thanks, Scott, for dropping this one. He said, saw a stat on X. I saw this one as well. Chiefs have had a 411 running back run since week 1 of last year, and only two have gone for more than 20 yards and 411 running back runs.
I know we were last in explosive runs of 10 plays or more last year.
But I also saw a stat today. I was trying to find who tagged it to me on X, on Twitter over there. It's from Warren Sharp. This is a percentage of running back runs that gained 0 yards. The Chiefs were 0%. So they don't gain. They don't gain any. They are positive runs, but they are never going to be explosive runs.
I talk about this Kendall Gammon all the time. Every week when we record for the 101 The Fox pregame show.
Yeah.
If you need 2 yards, they're going to give you 2 yards. If you need 6 yards, they're going to give you 2 yards.
Yeah.
You're going to get 2 yards when you need it, but when you need a little bit more.
Jedi says in the chat, I just wish Pop had Hunt's vision.
Yeah.
And because there was that one play. I mean, in Brazil, you go back to when you want to point to an Isaiah Pacheco vision where he had Josh Simmons out there and a bunch of green
Certain
grass.
things I try not to say.
And he
Yeah.
kept it
The
in.
vision
I'll say
one's
it, Desmond.
tough.
I'll say it. Don't worry about it.
I want to illustrate what vision means because there's a lot of times where people screenshot like
For sure.
there's a DB 10 feet away from a receiver 40 yards down the field and he's wide open. I'm like, that's not
That's
open.
not it.
That's not open. And vision is following the blocks and where the play's designed or running to open space that is not going to be open for very long. But I will say that it is frustrating to watch in volume Pacheco run because it feels like there's a lot of yards there that aren't being had. I'll say it that way.
100%.
It's a different way.
That was polite.
Is that a polite way of saying
I
it? I feel like we're leaving some yards on the field.
Yeah, it's okay. I think that's a very fair way to say it.
But we love him because his the way he runs, the ferocity in which he, all of those things. You got to love him. He won the championships here. But reality is, like you guys just said, I think there's an element there where, he beat. I remember Eric Berry used to always talk about vision, hitting these bubbles and pressing the hole and finishing runs, in the daylight. And I think there's something to that. And again, players have the ability to get better week in and week out. That's the beauty of being a professional. These guys do this for a living. But I think there needs to be another step there. And I think with his just natural abilities, I think he has another level that he can go to.
Yeah.
Desmond, how much more time we got with you?
I got 20 more, man. What's up?
All right.
All right, sweet.
Want to go to the break?
Yeah, we'll hit a break real quick, and then we'll be back. We'll talk about Xavier Worthy. We had some stuff from the press conferences we'll talk about as well. Let's hit a break. We'll be back right after this.
I'll be
Chiefs.
mean, Jackie. I'll be mean.
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you could jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with a sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want. Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN, and when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Welcome back into the Sand Trap here in KC Mo. Tucker Franklin, BJ Kissel, former Chief linebacker, Desmond Moses hanging out with us here at the Sand Trap on a beautiful Wednesday KCSN Live edition. Thank you to everybody joining in, hopping in with us. I gotta reset the poll here. Do you think the O-line will be the same in Week 18, no injuries included? 68% of you guys say no. 68% of them say no, it will not be the same in Week 18. So let's get into another topic that we had here on the rundown that we were going to talk about, especially with this game coming up. We got Electric Field playing in the background. I don't know if you can hear
I
it.
thought it was coming through my headset. I'm like, what's
No,
going
I
on?
didn't know it was playing, but they're getting after it over here at the Sand Trap. Xavier Worthy. We're having shades of Eric Berry with Xavier Worthy when it comes to his injury. Him and Jalen Royals keep getting similar injury updates. Jalen Royals obviously didn't play in week 1. Xavier Worthy not looking like he's going to play in week 2, just with the rehabbing and everything like that. Nate Taylor actually said he doesn't anticipate Xavier Worthy to play on only weird games earlier this week. Yeah. So thoughts on how the Chiefs, you guys were kind of talking about this with the offensive line, how they're able to kind of game plan, and because they know who's coming. They know Jaylen Carter's coming. Well, now they know that they're not going to have Xavier Worthy. Or now they know that they're not going to have Jalen Royals. They can game plan a little bit easier than they can in Brazil. After the third play of the game, you have a whole game plan that goes out the window. How do you think they kind of game plan without Worthy here?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think the young fella Thornton will have an opportunity to get some additional reps throughout the week. We saw some shots early on in the game where the timing was just a tick off.
Yeah,
I think Pat will have an opportunity to time that up. But, just the reps throughout the week, guys getting more familiarity with Pat Mahomes, with being in there, running with the ones. You got to expect guys to have a little bit more success. But game planning won't be easier without Xavier Worthy, especially without Rashee Rice as well. Kansas City needs another threat right now outside of Brown. But even with Hollywood Brown, you saw some plays where the timing was a little bit off. You can refine these things throughout the week, come out, play a little bit sharper. And I think the Chiefs will do just that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see when he's going to get back out on the field, Xavier Worthy.
Yep, didn't practice today.
Saw that is news, but if he's going to try a brace and try the pain tolerance thing, I actually just texted old friend Aaron Borgman, ask him if he wanted to come on, talk about shoulder separations and what if it's a pain tolerance thing or if this is, could make something, whatever it is. I'll defer to experts as much as we can.
Yeah.
And Aaron has literally done this before. So try to check with him later in the week. But yeah, I believe Andy Reid's ability to be creative enough in a short term to game plan for a couple of games. I don't know if it's going to be consistent what they can do all year. They've got to get one of those guys back. But for this game against the Eagles, do I think they can do things without the whole repertoire being there? Yes. Yeah. But big picture, they got to get another consistent weapon, whether it's Jalen Royals. Again, I keep bringing him up, and I'll keep talking about it until I throw him the football, but Brashard Smith in the passing game, out of the backfield, third down back, getting chunk plays in some way to take the pressure off. The storyline of we've got to get the big plays. We got to throw the 70-yard touchdowns. You need 70-yard touchdowns, but you need 30-yard plays. You need 40-yard plays here and there. And right now it's only coming from the passing game.
Right.
And it's only going to come from the passing game on a broken play because the offensive line can't block long enough for the play to develop.
Yeah.
So
10 carries last week to actual running backs, which is
Juju's not creating enough separation
right
in man-to-man to pick up a chunk play. As much as he can be a guy to be in the right place for Mahomes at the right time.
Yeah, he's a possession guy.
He is. Yeah.
Certain ways he wins, and certain ways he doesn't.
100%. He's a big body guy. He knows how to fit in, but he's not a run-after-catch guy. Trav is no longer a run-after-catch guy. Hollywood Brown generally doesn't catch the ball cleanly enough to be a run-after-catch guy.
Yeah.
So there's elements that I think Kansas City really, they can build off of. But for right now, I think they just, like you said, got to figure out how to get some bigger plays and a steady dose of that run, or otherwise, Patrick Mahomes is going to be stuck out there being Patty Magic and,
trying to be positive here, and we're just like, well, this guy can't get open down the field. He's not going to run after the catch.
Yeah.
And then Juju needs 7 seconds to get 30 yards down the field, so this is going to be difficult.
I will bring some good news. I will bring some positives.
Yeah.
In the second half of that game, the offense looked so much better.
Yeah.
Once they figured out and had some time to be like, okay, well, we don't have Xavier Worthy. Here's what we can do with the guys that we have. That looked a lot better.
Yeah.
And it is tough. I mean, we talked about that the last Chargers game that they played in L.A., that Rashee Rice gets injured, right? And they struggled the rest of that game because they had a whole game plan of using Rashee Rice that couldn't use. I think the same thing happened in Brazil. It's like they had a whole game plan of plays where Hollywood Brown's running that looked like, wow, that would have looked really good with Xavier Worthy running that play. Like, that would have been a pretty good one. So I think they had a bunch of those plays that they couldn't quite get over there with Hollywood Brown, and Hollywood Brown basically getting thrusted into a role that he hadn't played like a live football game in a while.
But also, can we give them some grace? It was week 1.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
The preseason is now condensed.
Yeah.
The starters get to play even less time in the preseason. So this is somewhat what you expect from, a team in week 1, not generally the Kansas City Chiefs. You expect them to be sharp with Andy Reid and his leadership. But most teams around the National Football League, week 1, they're a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
And we've seen some phenomenal games throughout week 1. I think we got to really just be grateful about that. But I think Kansas City's going to get on top of these things. Andy is an absolute scientist when it comes to playing football, X's and O's, and cleaning up coming into a week, especially off of a loss.
Playing some jams.
They are playing some good songs.
Jams in here right now. And the other reason the offense looked good in the second half is because people forgot that the best football player in the world plays for the Chiefs.
15's pretty good.
And sometimes you just let him go. And
he was so good.
He is on it. I want Hollywood to lock in because I said leading into the season, and I'm not changing it now, I still think we're going to see the best version of Patrick Mahomes this season. Yeah. And I think I hope to see the connection with Hollywood look crisper. Whether it's Hollywood, whether it's Mahomes, whether it's the stems, like something looked off on the spacing and the timing. And that was surprising to me for a player that had been here a little bit. I know he's been banged up,
for sure,
but he's been here enough to spend some time with Mahomes. You think some of the simple things and some of the simpler routes you think would just look a little crisper. I expect that to look a lot better this week.
And that's kind of what I was suggesting with the catch and run. Like generally a speed guy, you know, even think of Zay Flowers in Baltimore. Yeah. The way he can catch the ball with speed, Patrick Mahomes is accurate enough. He's going to put it on him so he can. But if you don't have that hand strength and that confidence that you can catch it out here, tuck it, and continue to run, then generally you try to do it with your body and you fall to the ground and you don't get that yet.
So it's tough. They're in a tough situation right now. This injury does happen really early in week one, right? 3 snaps into the game. Jalen Royals, a wide receiver that they drafted last year, hasn't played since, I want to say that, I think he played in the second preseason game, but that was the last time that he played. He hasn't been on the field, hasn't been practicing. Both him and Worthy haven't been. So that brings up a question, like, should the Chiefs try to add somebody? They started the season with 8 wide receivers on the roster. We saw that come out, and we're like, 8 wide receivers, that's crazy. They must like the guys they have in that room. Desmond, do you think that they need to go and add somebody from who's not in the building right now?
I think they could. You know, there's some whispers out there, a guy like, you know, Mikael Hardman. I know he's not a huge piece as far as in the wide receiving in the pass game, but I think he's a piece that experience, knows the playbook, mature, you know, and definitely could fill in a number of different spots and a number of different positions throughout the pass game. And then, again, you get a special teams ad with him as well. And then I've also heard the whispers of Mr. Tyreek Hill coming back to town. I don't know exactly how they would put something like that together, but that would be blockbuster.
That would be. That'd be crazy.
The internet would break.
Yeah.
Kansas City would break. There'd be a lot of fans deleting a lot of tweets, though. Let's be honest. Like everybody's had takes of Tyreek going and the things that he said when he got to Miami because he's excited and they got him paid and that's like all this stuff. I don't know if it'll go quite to that level. I don't know if the Tyreek stuff. They struggle. The talk isn't going to get pushed down, especially if Miami continues to struggle and the Chiefs go 0-2. It's not going to. The conversation's not going to go away.
Correct.
Don't know if I see that. The McColl stuff makes sense. We talked about this, and I know fans get sick of hearing it, and we saw a little bit with D-Hop last year. It's really hard for a receiver to join this team in the middle of the season and understand what Andy Reid's trying to do offensively if you haven't played in this system before. So whenever this happens, it's you played for the Jaguars because you played for Doug, and you know the language. You at least know some basic part of the offense, so your time to catch up speed is a little quicker, whatever you want to call it. But like the DeMarcus Robinson, I think he's suspended right now. But it's like D-Rob, McColl, like those are the usual suspects that I would go towards because they know the offense. And it's not a physical like D-Hop where it was just put him on the outside, he can run 4 routes and he's be better than everybody else. And it didn't work out. You got to know what they're doing in this offense, and it's again
the catch he made on Sunday, and then going back and thinking about all the catches that like he dropped was so frustrating to see him.
He did that.
Snag that.
He did against Cincinnati early when he first got here. He made a couple crazy plays
against Tampa.
Was it Tampa?
It was Tampa.
The one down the middle where Mahomes just kind of floated it to him.
Yeah, he had that one, but like there's a couple in the Super Bowl, a couple in the playoffs. I think that he'll obviously want those back.
Yeah, he wants it back for sure.
Man, that was
Great
catch by Hopkins. So like that was the Hopkins that we.
That was a great throw.
He's like a home run hitter as a catcher.
Yes, yeah.
You know, he's going to make those incredible catches, but he's going to whiff on the field. And you got to live with that. It's like Judge, man. You know, he's going to strike out 150 times. He'll hit 50 home runs, though.
Lamar's not going to throw that ball in the playoffs either.
That's true. That's a good
That's
point.
a great credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Lamar's
a little bit different in the playoffs. I don't know what it is about the playoffs. They say that P word. He turns the playoff Lamar.
His
and not in
windows
a
get a
good
little
way.
smaller.
Boy. This quote, Charles Goldman tweeting this out on Twitter. I thought that this was interesting. Andy Reid's press conference. No, I'm calling it Twitter still. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says that former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick called him to personally vouch for Tyquan Thornton when the team brought him in on the practice squad last season. Bill said he's got potential. We saw, obviously, the connections in the preseason. I mean, there was a couple of I just think a couple of miscommunications with those guys on the some deep balls that they missed, but they were able to connect on another one. There's some tracking things. Mahomes throws a better ball on the second one that he missed. And I think if he tracks it a little bit better, it's a bigger play. But Tyquan Thornton now comes into the season and in training camp on a futures contract, right? As a wide receiver that we thought, it'd be nice if Tyquan Thornton could have a little bit of impact. Yeah. Now you're looking around and you're like, well, Tyreek Hill, he needs to be Tyreek Hill, basically. Tyquan Thornton needs to be Tyreek Hill, and you need to have him come on and have some real snaps and have some real impact, which not a spot that you thought when you were keeping 8 wide receivers on your opening day roster, but here they are.
Yeah, you know what? You don't want to put too much on one individual, especially a guy that hadn't had a ton of success in the NFL yet. But I think, again, it's about the depth. And Andy Reid is phenomenal at developing guys and getting them ready to play. There's going to be 5-6 guys ready to play. There might be a guy off a practice squad late. Andy's going to have the guys there that's ready to play. Again, when you get a guy hurt in the first possession, the first couple of plays of the game, your whole game plan kind of goes out the window, especially when this guy's a large port. But I think just moving forward, we're going to see how talented Andy Reid is and his coaching staff and see how ready they are to play. Because, again, this challenge, especially from the Philadelphia Eagles, you look from front to back, you're talking about a defense that's built like big dogs. And I'm not just talking about their front four, even though those are some bad boys. Their linebacking core, these are guys that can cover. These guys can run with anybody all the way to the back end, Cooper DeJean and guys like this who are not only great athletes, but they're very savvy. So, again, not only for the front five of the Kansas City Chiefs and the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs, these wide receivers and tight end group, they're going to have a major test dealing with this defensive team of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah,
and I was just looking it up because I want to know the snap counts. That Tyquan Thornton obviously got thrown in, and you could figure out very quickly when one of your receivers on a game day gets hurt, who knows the rest of the offense because all the snaps are going to go completely to one person. Tyquan Thornton had 44 snaps in that game. Jason Brownlee had 6, and Nico Remillo had 1.
Right.
So offensively, it tells me that Tyquan Thornton knows where to go. He knows where to line up relative to the other guys that are available. So I saw a comment about Seth doing something on Tyquan.
I think Seth wrote an article about him this morning.
So check that out because he would have paid attention. And I just want to know how many different ways did he line up? Was he lined up in? Was he lined up out? Yeah. I'm not going to know if he's X and Z and learning all the spots the way that they do. But if you're lining him in line, you're moving him in motion, you're doing some of the ghost action, some of the stuff behind. He's a part of a bigger package with the offense, and they trust that he can do different things and line up in different spots and understands how to do it.
That's a great find. I mean, I think you hit it on the head, not to overlook that at all because, again, even if you're just playing one position, you're an X. And Andy's offense is so complex, so many motions, so many checks. Andy's only going to put a guy in there who knows what to do, who knows where to be. So you're exactly right. I think it's clear who earned those rights and earned those snaps. And again, unless somebody takes a big leap this week, he'll likely earn those same snaps this week.
You've asked me over the years, wonder why Justin Ross isn't on. Why this guy's not on the field? A receiver is really talented, he's not on the field because he doesn't know where to go.
Right.
He doesn't know where he's going.
Simple.
Relative to what Mahomes needs from him to be out there. He could be right 80% of the time. That's not good.
And that's most players. That's most players in the National Football League. There's no really good players that are dumb. Those days are over. No, seriously. There's no really good players that don't understand the game, the X's and O's at a really high level because you can't just out-physical guys anymore. You're not fast enough to just run yourself in a position. No, guys run 4.2s across the board. You better know where they're going ahead of them.
We've had fun conversations with Sean Barber about that over the years. He's like, I didn't know what I was doing until I got to the NFL.
I love Sean. That's my guy.
Man. Sean, he's just running it.
No, seriously. Yeah, we're just chasing the ball in college. All the way up to college. Then you got into football, the X's and O's.
Yeah. To your point about the Eagles' defense, I do think that maybe now, again, having to the kind of the same Chiefs discussion of having your number one player on your defense get tossed before the game starts.
Yeah.
Probably throws a lot of wrinkles in it. But they had a lot of departures to that defense. Milton Williams goes to the Patriots. James Bradbury is still a free agent. Darius Slay's with the Steelers now. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's to the Texans. Josh Sweat's playing for the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers is now for the Vikings. Oren Burks now plays for the Bengals. That's a lot of guys that they had key departures. I think you kind of saw that on Thursday. Their defense kind of lagged behind of what their offense was going to be. So it's going to be an interesting game. I still think that the Eagles' defense is insane. It's still going to be really good. They're coached up. Vic Fangio out there. I think he also said that Adoree Jackson's going to get the start out there at CB2 for them. So it could be advantageous for the Chiefs because he hasn't had necessarily, if you believe in PFF grades, he hasn't necessarily had the best PFF grade when he is
Only when
out
they
there.
tell us what we want.
Right.
Right, yeah. We just use it to fit our
We
narrative.
just dunk on them the rest of the time.
I do think it's interesting. I've been asking the chat for some questions here. Claude wants to know thoughts on Romeo Doubs. And Romeo Doubs has been getting some trade buzz as well with his contract over there almost up in Green Bay. Green Bay looked pretty good against the Lions.
They look phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Green Bay is in the position to trade young talent right now,
That's fair.
especially offensive talent. With the play that Dobbs made in their last game, I'd be surprised if they let him go. Most of the time, it's like, that guy would be really good. I'm like, yeah, that's why the Green Bay probably wants to keep him. I look for like a underperforming player. What happened to Jalen Reagor? Where is he now?
Is he on the Eagles?
Is he on the Eagles still?
He might be. Or he went to maybe let me do
those
a
former first-round picks at the end of the first-round
Do a
deal.
deep dive.
Yeah. Do a deep dive.
First round draft pick.
But they're not
I feel like
bringing in
it's
a
a wide receiver.
They're not bringing in a receiver that's not played in the system. I'll say
No.
I'll go out on that. I'll send somebody a Tacos for Life $50 gift card if I'm wrong.
Especially
to trade
not-
for a receiver
not
that hasn't
mid-season.
played in one of our systems. Yeah.
Yeah, not mid-season.
Yeah.
It's on the
At this point-
Chargers.
They would-
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. How many snaps did he have? I don't remember seeing him. Maybe he was inactive.
Who was it? Was the Eagles that took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, and then the Vikings got Jalen Reagor after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had them both on the team.
Can you imagine
That's
the Eagles
tough.
had Justin Jefferson?
I'd rather not. They got A.J. Brown, so I think they're okay. But who, by the way, only had one target in that game. That's the fourth quarter.
Every time I watch him
Crazy.
now, I watch Saquon. I'm like, why? Why would the Giants get rid of this guy?
You know what? You know what I've started to think? Why did we let the nerds bully us into thinking running backs don't matter? Because they clearly matter.
The run game. You know what? The run game has always been important, and I think as much finesse and as much as we try to glamorize the pass game, and especially with the fantasy points and all of these things, and receive, it's sexy. We get it.
Yeah.
But we're talking about winning football. It comes down to the trenches, and since the beginning of time, it's offensively started with the run game. Teams that can dominate the line of scrimmage, and part of that is dominating the run game, have always had more success. And again, you can keep a defense off balance if you can punch them in the mouth.
And look at the other top teams in the AFC and that have elite quarterbacks that they believe are on Mahomes' talent level, not accolades level, and not what they've done. But Buffalo's got James Cook that they paid.
Yeah.
Cincinnati had Joe Mixon. Now they got Chase Brown.
Who Chase Brown's a good running back.
Very good running back. And then Derrick Henry.
That guy's pretty damn good.
He's pretty
So those are elite quarterbacks with above
Elite.
average, elite-ish type running backs, and then the
And
Chiefs.
good run games as well. Not only do they have good running backs, they got good
The Chiefs-
run games.
You know those memes
Correct.
where it's like, this is who we've got, and it's like,
The Chiefs have the power of friendship.
I don't
in
want to
their
disrespect our guys like
Yeah.
that, but like there's a fun meme here about what other top teams in the AFC have done as far as putting resources towards the running back position, and where the Chiefs are at.
And you
Now-
can look at our teams in the past, the one that
We've
have
won,
had
but-
success.
backfield. Right.
It's come partly through the running game. I mean, even by committee. Yeah.
We talked about just the diversity of the offense, and it's. I find it hard. We talked about this on yesterday's stream. I find it hard to put a lot on Andy Reid about not calling a lot of run plays when you got the running backs that you have, right? And
They said that about Brian Westbrook and LaShawn McCoy. and like
I know
they've
that
said
he's
about
a guy
Andy
who
Reid his entire career.
loves to air it out.
But
I get it.
he's not going to give the ball to somebody 25 times a game. But could he give him to Kareem 15? Probably. But does he have the patience to watch 7 3-yard runs before he figures out a way to throw a bubble
Maybe
screen?
your quarterback being your leading rusher shouldn't be a common thing, but I don't know. I
That's
don't
just
really
because
know.
Pat's good.
I do have a hard time with that because it is fun that Patrick Mahomes, like when he runs a ball and lowers his shoulders into dude, you're like, that's awesome. But then like That's
now-
the guy who's leading your team in rushing now.
And Pat's not getting any younger.
Right.
And just, I hate to say it, I hate to be that guy. I played with Aaron Rodgers, pre-injury and all those things. It's like the more you put your quarterback out there as a runner, the more exposure he gets. And for defenders, we're licking our chops, especially after he laid on that fella. They already the referees have already sent out the memo. 15 has a green light. So when he becomes a runner here moving forward, he better protect himself.
And I'll say this just to preemptively put it out there. When Mahomes lowered his shoulder on the DB right along the sideline and flat-backed him, every DB in the league knows I'm not going to not come in near the sideline with Mahomes. So when he gets hit and it's 50-50 and fans lose their mind about a penalty,
He shouldn't get it.
He shouldn't get the penalty, and fans shouldn't lose their minds either because a quarterback got laid out. He's protecting himself, so I don't blame him like he was taking some sort of cheap shot because the last thing he wants to do is get laid out.
Yeah.
But, it's going to happen, and we're all going to remember this moment and be like, everyone's going to lose their mind. But I'm actually going to side with the defensive player because he doesn't want to be some Chiefs fan viral meme for the rest of his life like the dude in San Francisco is.
Or
the goal line, that safety got trucked on goal line.
I don't even remember who he was, but I know what you're talking about now. It's in every highlight video from last year. Last little point here is we're here out at the Sand Trap here in KC Mo. Come hang out here. They got the folks at Holiday are setting up, getting everything ready to rip there.
They got a bunch of stuff.
They do got a lot of stuff. They got lunch specials going on here. Ooh, that black Holiday hat is clean. I might have to.
You have enough holiday hats.
I got two.
Your grubby hands.
Yeah, I got two. But we're hanging out here just for a few more minutes as we appreciate Desmond. Thank you for stopping by, hanging out on the stream. I love that we had a defensive player on and we spent the majority of the time talking about the offense. Really great show planning on my part. Great show planning on my part.
As you know what, as a defender, that's what we do a lot of the time anyway.
That's
we talk
fair,
about offense, guys. So hey.
I like asking this question to former players. Can you watch a football game and enjoy it?
No.
And watch the ball, or do you start
No.
following it like you did as a player, and you wonder what's happening and what they're doing and what their responsibilities are? And
No, my old lady hates it. I'm rewinding. I got a highlighter. I'm showing my daughters. They're like, "Oh, okay, Dad." I'm like, "See, this guy should be moving like this." And they're like, "All right." Got
That's
it.
funny.
And that's a what? Yeah.
Is that just NFL, or is it any level of football?
Oh, any level. No, college. I can't resist. It's like it's in us because you're like, I know where this guy's supposed to be, and he just needs to get his tail there. Yeah. So no, it's at any level, man. I could be watching high school, college, pro. I'm probably gonna break it down.
I'm the defensive coordinator for my son's rec flag football team. If you want to
Send
come
me
out
the
and help
film,
us,
man.
come on.
There you go.
We got man and zone.
Let's go.
And I'm trying to show how we can disguise them now.
Hey.
It's called being sneaky.
Flag football disguises.
sneaky.
You guys are getting into
I
it.
love that.
But now
I like
they made a new rule that if you blitz, the quarterback used to be able to run in flag football.
Makes sense.
And I just got an email 2 days ago, the first game this weekend, that if you blitz, the quarterback cannot run now. Because it used to be that they blitz, a quarterback could run, there'd be a touchdown. We never blitzed on defense. I don't run the offense for our team, but we don't blitz for that reason because it makes it easy. Well, now if you blitz, the quarterback can't run, but the blitzer has to hold his hand up the whole time to say, like, I'm blitzing. And then he's like, everyone's going to know that he's coming.
So is it one of those things where it's like, do you have to wait like 3 seconds before you can blitz?
No, but you have to be like 10 yards deep. You have to be where the ref is and next to him, but you have to hold your hand up to tell everyone you're coming.
Gotcha.
So our quarterback's just going to be like, tell the running back, like, just go replace that guy.
And he has,
Like, all I'm going to tell, like,
he has to
teams that we're about to
Of
play
course he
against, I guess I don't have the offense, but it's going to tell, like,
That's true.
the one player, like, hey, the tight end or center, like, if he's blitzing, just go stand where he did, turn around, we'll throw you the ball.
Right.
Just replace him.
Man,
But now the quarterback can't run.
game's gone.
But, yeah.
Game's
I know nothing about football, so you want to come help run
well,
some
these might
complex
be
defenses.
These might be the new rules in the NFL here in 10 years, the way we're going. So,
Who
hey,
knows? Oh, man. No, I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tulane, big one this week against Duke.
oh, yeah.
Hosting Duke.
TU, baby.
Do you like to follow the NFL or college football better?
You know what? I think I follow the NFL more naturally. I cover, I cover the Chiefs on Channel 5 and get an opportunity to still do my film study throughout the week and look into the future opponents, the Chiefs got coming up, which I really enjoy. It's still a player aspect of me, but college, I feel like these kids are just transferring. So, I mean, unless it's your school and you're tracking like the portal, I don't know where these kids are going, man. So I kind of just enjoy the big games, I guess, that they present for us. But, it's hard to be a super allegiant to some of these schools and teams because
I feel bad for coaches.
It's
And I
crazy.
feel you can't develop a player, especially like a quarterback.
No.
You're at school, like Tulane. They develop a freshman quarterback who becomes an all-conference player.
He's going somewhere else.
He's going somewhere else and getting some check somewhere else. So and then the coach who invested their time into that player, showing that they can develop, has to try and improve it again with somebody else immediately in a short-term thing. That's
and some of the big
not
schools,
a fun life for the quality control coaches, the assistant, the offensive coordinators at some smaller colleges. Like, they've got to constantly develop, constantly re-recruit your own players.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, thank you.
And the bigger schools are getting worse at developing because they don't have to. They can just afford the players, and they expect you now to come in like a pro.
Yeah.
So if you're not the starter, you're generally not going to become the starter because you're not going to get development. They're going to say, hey, well, we paid you to develop yourself.
Yeah.
Opening a much bigger conversation. But Tom Brady's talked about this a lot, about how the NFL is getting dumber because they're dumbing down the game because they have to at the college level, because they are at the high school level. All of a sudden you're drafting quarterbacks that have never had to read a defense. They have no idea what's going on, but there's no other option.
He's got a good arm.
Yeah. But it's all the quarterbacks coming out because it's how all colleges now are just trying to simplify everything. Everybody looks at the sideline for all the answers.
Yeah, also, I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff now. The quarterbacks coming out don't have snap counts. So they're all clap-based.
Who was that Jackson Dart? Was he the one that was talking to John Gruden? And he was like, I've never called I've never had a cadence or something?
Yeah, never, and then Riley Leonard talked about how he would say, like, they would say a boy name or a girl name, and that would be like right or left, and that would tell you, I think the boy name was on 2 claps or the girl name was on 1 clap. So it's all claps. It's just like, what? We've lost the plot. I know there's a report that came out. Ty Dunn. I don't know how much you follow with Ty Dunn. Like he wrote a story about Caleb Williams. Like, there's a little bit about Caleb Williams where he couldn't do like the color number and his cadence, and he had a hard time learning that offense. So they went to legitimately ready, set, go was his snap count, which which is awful for other, like, if you're an offensive lineman and you know that the count's ready, set, go, you're gonna get teed off on.
Do you remember the first season of quarterback?
Yeah.
When it was Kirk Cousins had gone, I think he was in Minnesota, and then Marcus Mariota, and who was the other quarterback that year? It was Mahomes, and then there was another one.
Cousins, and Mariota. It was those 3.
It was just 3? Okay. Because at one point they went from, like, Mariota and Kirk Cousins, like, learning the lingo and, like, trying to learn how to talk and spit out the offense, and they go to Mahomes, who's, like, learning how to respond to the response, and, like, they're playing 4D chess over here, and, like, they're learning how to talk over here.
Yeah.
The dichotomy between those two things, showing how far mentally Mahomes was ahead. And then he and Andy Reid can actually talk about schemes and things, whereas not necessarily the case anymore.
There's levels to this stuff.
There is.
Yeah.
You're at the highest.
You can see it. But I think that's going to do it for today's stream. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Appreciate Desmond Moses for stopping by. BJ Kissel, the boss man, got him here as well on the stream. So big Wednesday edition. Come check out the Sand Trap here. We got Holiday Distillery out here giving out bourbon tastings, all kinds of stuff. I think they got lunch specials going on here too at the Sand Trap out here in KC So make sure to go check them out. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here. I'll be back tomorrow live. We'll have the KC Laboratory game preview. Kent Swanson, Craig Stout will be previewing the game for you guys tonight. So until then, see you tomorrow.